Hello, everyone. Welcome back. So for this first video, I want to go through and explain your project. So your project is something that I've called a personal letter project. It's not necessarily, it's a writing assignment as opposed to, say, a presentation. And it is basically overall meant for you all to choose an environmental, ocean, or climate issue of your choice and write about it. And you're going to do some research. You're going to support your opinions with good and linked articles. And something a little bit different that I'm requiring this semester as opposed to things I've offered in previous semesters is I'm going to also require that you include an opposing viewpoint, at least one opposing viewpoint of whatever problem you decide to write about. And this will help with the length problem. Oftentimes students don't get to the length requirement that I have, and so I think that adding in this idea that there's always two sides to every issue, so adding in that extra element of requiring an opposing viewpoint will help kind of bring all of that together. I think even with any and all arguments, it's always good to look at both sides. And even though you may think something doesn't have a positive side, some things may. So I'll give a few examples of that as I go through this document. This document you will be able to find on Canvas. There's a whole projects module located near the bottom of our main Canvas page. So what I have there are within that module, and I'll show it here on screen just a second, but just while my face is large. There's things like a website to help you with ideas, to kind of get things sparked and going, a website to help you find your sources, as well as, and it may not be linked just yet, but I'll have some previous semester examples from what students have done in the past. So that's kind of a breakdown there, and let's go ahead. And this is the only project you're doing, by the way, for this particular section. If you're in my lab, you are also doing a separate project. But if you're not in my lab, then don't worry about it. We'll get to it when we get there. All right. So, all right. So here we are. Again, this will be on Canvas. Let me kind of make it a little bit bigger here if I can. There we go. So this is due March 26th at 11:59 p.m. This is the Sunday before you go to spring break. So you may have a lot of assignments due at that time. So kind of keep that in mind when you're figuring out time management stuff. And yeah, so overall, the idea here is to write a letter to a friend, family member, or politician, or me, or your future self, or anything like that, someone like that, about any sort of ocean issue, environmental issue, or climate change problem of your choice. So I'm not going to read this whole thing to you. I have full faith in your reading abilities, but just kind of the whole purpose of it. And really the main idea here is to evaluate your writing style, your paragraph structure, and your ability to include relevant content related to the environment. So even though in our classes together, we've been able to communicate orally with each other, as well as a little bit through discussion boards and things like that, this is kind of a different sort of way to aid with getting things all put together. So this is not meant to be an assignment where you simply recite ocean facts. While I want facts about the ocean and the environment, I want you to also include your personal views on the health of the ocean, or just kind of overall the broad topic of climate change. It can mean several different things, and really the main idea here is I don't want you to think like whatever stance that you're going to take, I don't want you to think like, oh, I hope Mallory shares that opinion, because if she does, then she'll give me a good grade. That's not necessarily the case. Any stance that you take is going to be acceptable as long as you back it up sincerely and with conviction and with proper English skills. And there's a very detailed rubric on Canvas to step you through what I'm expecting. Really, that meaning to say is you're not going to be evaluated on your opinion. So say, for example, I've had students who have done their paper on how electric vehicles are actually not that great for the environment, and the practices that are revolved around, mining for the batteries that are needed to make the car batteries for that is a horrendous practice that is also very terrible for the environment. Do I hold that opinion? Not necessarily, but will I grade you poorly on it? No, not at all. As long as you're using good, reliable sources and not like cars or electriccarssuck.com or something. You know what I mean? It has to be backed up with real and good like scientific evidence. So don't concern yourself on whether or not I hold that opinion or not. You need to just do something that's really important to you. And while I'm here, again, larger faced, I do also want to iterate that I highly recommend you do something that you're passionate on. You're taking an environmental class, you're taking oceanography, so the hope is that you care for the ocean at least a little bit, right? So try to choose something that gets you pretty stoked. And I have a list here at the bottom that I'll kind of go through. So your sentence paragraph structure should follow the kind of overall general pattern of proper writing with a topic sentence, some sort of evidence, evidence being like a quote or something like a study done by blah, 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 or according to this study, according to this article, whatever. That is a sentence or two in length. Keep in mind we don't want quotes that are like 4 to 5 sentences. That's going to make your similarity on Turnitin way too big. But then you want to support that argument with your own words and describing and defending the quote, perhaps including more evidence and a more supporting argument. Those are kind of optional or building on your previous point. And then just a little conclusion to kind of wrap that paragraph off and bring you into your next paragraph. So the letter itself should be 4 to 5 pages in length, which means 4 full pages plus 1/2 page or 5 full pages. It's going to be 1.5 spaced, 11 to 12 point font, not including pictures or figures, if you so choose to include those. Those are not required. There's a rubric on Canvas that I'll show you to maximize your score. And again, like I said earlier, one of your points of view should be of the opposite side of the argument. Here's just a timeline on the parts of the paper that you're going to submit. The first thing that I want in about 2 or so weeks is your a brief outline and a selection of your secondary literature. That basically means that I want you to have done a little bit of research, figured out what sources you maybe want to use or probably want to use, and just a kind of overview of what you want to step through and walk through and talk through, right? So it doesn't have to be super detailed, though I will say the more detailed you make it now, the less work you're going to have to do later. Like just straight up life pro tip. More detailed now, less detailed later. And then 2 weeks after that, I want a rough draft, which is going to be turned in on Canvas through a process called peer review on Canvas. It's pretty sweet. So you'll be assigned a peer review partner as long as you've turned in your part of the assignment. And once you've done that, then you'll be automatically assigned someone on Canvas. There is a separate video located in the submission, the assignment submission that you're going to watch to help you figure out how to actually do the peer review. And then the final version of this letter is due on Sunday, March 26th at 11:59. Through Turnitin. So if you've never used Turnitin before, this is a really beautiful piece of software that scans through your paper and basically tells you how much of it has been copied from another source. Please don't be that student who has 70 to 80 to 90 of the paper copied from another source. It does not make me very happy. A good rule of thumb is to keep it relatively below like 30%-ish, something like that. 30% below is normal. It's that's fine, but we just don't want plus over that, right? So try to keep it minimal. And then finally here, I have just a list of issues that you could potentially include. You don't have to do these if you do not want to. This is not an all-inclusive list. You are more than welcome to do something that's at least related to the ocean or environment or climate change. Again, I would say to try and do something that is really important to you. Like, say you're really into fishing, so you could talk about global fisheries and aquaculture, maybe the unsustainable practices of global fisheries. So that can be like your main argument is how crappy those things are. And then your opposing side of that argument could be, well, we need to eat fish, right? People need to eat protein of sorts, and this is a main source of protein for a lot of people. Or maybe with fast fashion, it's like, okay, well, fast fashion is absolutely abhorrent for the environment for a million different ways, but a positive thing about that is it's super, super cheap for people to purchase, and we need clothes, right? We can't just walk around naked. People really frown upon that in modern society. Also, it's freaking cold outside, so no one wants to do that, right? So that could be the opposite side of that argument. Or even plastic pollution. I know it's kind of hard to think of a thing of plastic pollution, being positive, but the positive aspect of that could be simply that plastic is a very cheap and durable material that we use in a ton of different aspects of our lives. And so we need plastic. We just need to probably dispose of it better. That's what I mean by having a different, an opposing viewpoint, at least one opposing viewpoint of whatever you're looking for. So some things that I have for you on Canvas in terms of resources. Let me just go into student view here. So in terms of resources for this project, if you scroll all the way down to the project aspect, I have a couple of different websites here. A website to help with maybe spark some ideas or to help gain some sources here. And then also another website that I think is pretty good for sources. I would also suggest using the library. Librarians at CSM or any of the SMCCD campuses are all super knowledgeable. And you can also go through the databases. So if we do CSM, library, I should have had this already up, I apologize. But you can search through one search for any articles, media, books, and more. So say I wanted to do plastic pollution, you can search through there and you can find, different books, and you can show through Google Scholar or, which is a great resource as well, or the San Mateo Public Library. Or, you can look at what's kind of cool. I was shown this a little while ago, like you can check the availability. So we want peer-reviewed journals and maybe things like that. So apply filters. All right, so I only want peer-reviewed journals, and it will bring you to all of these different areas. So if you need any assistance, maybe trying to spitball some ideas, maybe you're kind of having a hard time kind of getting some ideas to write about, then please do not hesitate to reach out. The nice thing about this being a letter format as opposed to a presentation format is y'all can some of you can do some of these similar topic if you so choose. It's not like really kind of stepped into or hammered into just one topic per person, or only one person can do one specific topic, whatever. So please feel free to reach out if you have any questions, comments, or concerns. And with that, thank you so much. Well, I look forward to reading these. Tends to be good. So cheers.